Welcome back then to one of the best fights I think we've seen in Europe in many a year. This one way back now in March of 1992, and it features Daniel Zaragoza defending his WBC Super Bantamweight title for the second time in his third reign as champion. Daniel Zaragoza, 34 years of age at the time of this match. Tanaka, the Japanese, in Japan, defended against the Korean and then got his revenge over Paul Banky, and then this time facing Thierry in Calais. So there you are. And well, as for Jacob, he hadn't mixed in anything like the quality of company that Zaragoza had. I think that's fair to say, although he did hold a points win over Duke McKenzie for the European title, and also Vincenzo Belcastro. So that's very good form. He boxed for the IBF title a couple of times. First time getting stopped in 10 by Kelvin Seabrooks, and the second time in 6 by Jose Sanabria. And in between that came a 9th round stoppage loss at the hands of the experienced Frenchman Fabrice Benichou. And coming into this fight, Jacob had given up his European crown. And the first name that British fight fans at least would recognise on the record of Jacob would be Kevin Downer, beaten in 5 by Jacob. And he did go through some Brits in his time. He beat Kelvin Smart, Bobby McDermott, Graham O'Malley, Billy Barton, Marvin Stone, and the previously mentioned Duke McKenzie. Also a very useful win over Boualem Belkif, although on a disqualification. And this was his 3rd crack at a world title. And we get each twice fought for the IBF and lost. This was the big one. And Zaragoza very prone to cuts these days, but as game as they come. Was having trouble though making the weight. In fact, had 3 visits to the scales in prep for this one. So round 1 of a scheduled 12. Thierry Jacob, as you can see, the taller man. It's an all southpaw match of 12 rounds. Jacob very fired up, as I mentioned before, and didn't want to make any mistakes early on in this contest. Jacob had been a pro since 1984, so 8 years down the road, he's challenging for the WBC Championship. Possibly his first title shot came 3 years into his career, possibly just a bit too soon. And his record coming into this one was 38 fights with 3 losses and 38 wins, 3 losses, 20 stoppages to his credit. And Zaragoza had won 45, lost 5, drawn 1 and stopped 22. So 2 very distinguished records there. And of course the Mexican would have to work double hard to ensure retention of his championship in this very hostile atmosphere in Calais, at a fort on the outskirts of the city. Yes, there's more here than just duty-free shops. And to be honest, a lousy seafront. Pretty slow start this by Zaragoza standards. And Thierry Jacob just stealing the lead, but took a left hand there. And the nice thing, of course, about these prime-time boxing specials is it enables us to dip into the archives for good little fights like this. And this match scored, of course, on the 10-point must system. The winner of the round gets 10, or should I say keeps his 10, and the loser a proportionate amount less, which in this case looked to be Zaragoza, who comes away with 9. Don't forget, in a championship fight of 12 rounds, both men start with 120 points, and the idea is to retain what you started with and therefore win. And of course, if you don't actually win points, you lose points in boxing, which should be made very clear. There are ways, of course, that you can retain what you started with, but I don't wish to complicate the issue. But just for someone who asked me today, in fact, how do you win points? You don't actually win them, you've got them to start with, and you've just got to make sure you keep them. And looks like some snappy boxing in the first round there for the challenger, who once again gets to the long left hand, Thierry Jacob. Of course, Calais famous for 2 things, the port and the Jacob brothers. Big swiping left hand there from Daniel Zaragoza. Once again, little combination from the challenger, and this crowd, of course, responding to everything he does quite naturally. And this so far a good performance by the Frenchman. In fact, he would have taken a great deal of heart with that European title win over Duke McKenzie, because he actually had Duke on the floor in that contest. So just to remind you then, Daniel Zaragoza. 45 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, 22 stoppages in his third reign as WBC Super Bantamweight champion, making his second defense. In fact, a former WBC Bantamweight champion, so second reign as Super Bantamweight champion. So once again, looked like Thierry Jacob had taken round 2, putting 2 in front. Into round 3. Nice little clip from Zaragoza on the inside there. And again, the thumping left hand from Jacob, forcing Zaragoza to very strangely hang on for a second. And of course, all of you new to either cable or satellite television, I've got a feast of sport to look forward to. And with Eurosport, it's all free. Bags of boxing. You've got the World Cup to come. Top-class tennis tournaments throughout the world. All the motor racing you can handle. And IndyCar. Ooh, and oh, Jacob there just dropped in the old Liverpool kiss. And you could see that look of disdain on the face of Zaragoza, out to make Jacob pay for that. And you might remember, of course, we brought you his Zaragoza's contest with the Japanese Kiyoshi Hatanaka from Japan. And Zaragoza sustained a very nasty headbutt, quite deliberate, and split his little eye wide open. But fortunately, he got his redress in the end by still winning on the Japanese's own soil, which makes it all that much sweeter. And since they can't hear me, I can say what I like about them. But no, it was a rather spiteful nut. Zaragoza getting a bit frustrated now in this third. Every time he goes to make a maneuver, he finds Jacob coming back at him with a counter. Good tactic. And again, some lovely right hands there from Jacob. Nothing too ambitious from him, just going through the basics, but doing them well. And of course, he knows this is a very good champion. And looks like Thierry Jacob just won the third. I've given the first 3 rounds to Thierry Jacob to leave him with 30 points, and Zaragoza just trading now with 27 as we go into round 4. Daniel Zaragoza, the champion, in the green. Slightly better around this for the champion. And this time getting his head moving and avoiding those long straight punches of his challenger. Zaragoza very cool and calm. Cut on the right eye, of course, from that clash of heads, for want of a better word, in the previous round. But that's nothing new to him. Once again, the crowd reacting to that combination from Jacob. And Zaragoza realizing that this man is a serious threat to his title, so he's going to have to get some work done. Once again, though, it looked like Thierry had just taken the spoils in the fourth. Good left hand now on the replay. Round 5. And of course, Zaragoza would far prefer Jacob to be the kind of static opponent who'd stand there and have a punch-up. But Jacob knows better. Doing everything behind the right jab, using his feet, and making life just a bit too uncomfortable for the champion. Oh, and on the family jewels there from Jacob. No complaints though from Zaragoza. And you're seeing here that the way an educated, I prefer to call it a lead rather than a jab, because the jab just signifies a flick. But I suppose that's its generic term these days. But the lead, if it's neglected, this leads to all sorts of problems. But an educated lead sets everything up. In fact, lots of fights have been won with that one punch only. So any of you aspiring fighters out there, make sure you get that punch right first. A couple of good body shots there from Zaragoza. Nice left hand as well from the champion. And Jacob shook it off. And of course, the last thing that Jacob needs here is to get involved in the fight that Zaragoza wants, i.e. down in the trenches. He needs to keep his boxing together. The round's getting slightly tougher now. Still, the challenger seems to be landing just enough punches just to keep his nose in front. Although it's significant that Zaragoza's having more success. And Zaragoza there raising his arms at the end of round 5 to wind the crowd up. Into round 6. And of course, Zaragoza has been through the walls so many times, and all the tough moments for Jacob were to come. But he built a pretty healthy lead anyway. Nice little cushion to fall back on. After 5 rounds, I hadn't given one against him. Zaragoza trying to cut down this gap, but every time he gets inside, he gets caught. And Jacob might not have realised his luck at this point. Probably came as some surprise to him to realise that he was actually boxing very, very well and beating the champion in most departments. Again, a lovely combination there from Jacob. Zaragoza thumping away to the body on the inside, but just can't seem to stay there long enough. Weight weekend, remember. And this is a good round now. And suddenly, the challenger getting the better of the champion in his own department. Best round of the fight so far. I had Thierry Jacob 6 points in front. Into round 7, this the halfway stage, and I felt at this stage that Daniel Zaragoza had to win the remaining 7 rounds for a draw. The remaining 6 rounds for a draw. In fact, if I mention this as being his second defence of the title in this 3rd reign, it's in fact his 3rd defence in his 3rd reign. He beat Hatanaka for the vacant title. No, it wasn't. Hatanaka had beaten Banki, that's right. And then the Korean, then Banki, and now Jacob. Oh, and that was low from Zaragoza. Well, now the punch rate of Thierry Jacob had dropped rather markedly, I should say. And Zaragoza having the chance to get back into this. And this looked like the first round he was going to win. Jacob tiring, falling short. Lovely long left hand there from the champion. And Zaragoza is not maintaining his attacks. Obviously, losing weight prior to this fight has not done him a great deal of good. But looks like he'd win this 7th round, and the first one I'd give him on my card. Bit of replay here from the best round of the fight so far for Daniel Zaragoza, and once again there a clash of heads. Round 8. And Zaragoza, they're just gesturing to the challenger just to watch himself. And undoubtedly Jacob feeling the pace he'd set. Either winning 6 rounds to 1 at this point, but a lot of hard work ahead. Nice awkward left hook there from Jacob landing. Kind of punch that hurts your hands. And Zaragoza at this point might just have felt, well, okay, I'll let this whippersnapper take a few rounds, wear himself out, then I'll go to work and take him out. Well, decent spell there for Jacob, but Zaragoza picking up here in the 8th, where he left off in the 7th. Although Jacob realising he's got to stay in this. Not much to choose between them, with less than a minute to go in the 8th. Always punch for punch in this session. And in spite of some spirited counter-attacks from Thierry Jacob, it looked like Zaragoza just got his nose in front until the last few seconds, where Jacob looked to just level things up. So the first level round on the card, and I still had Thierry Jacob 5 points in front with 4 rounds to go. And Zaragoza hoping, of course, that Jacob might just have shot his bolt and be there for the taking. Round 9. And it's noticeable that Zaragoza starting to come forward a lot more now and throw punches. And this is where the Frenchman had to grit his teeth. He had to stay with this very, very tall order. You've got this incredibly experienced man bearing down and he's throwing hurtful punches, knowing he's got a gap to try and fill. Lovely left hand there from Jacob. And the concentration required for a tough 12-round fight is really quite phenomenal. Some fighters, of course, if they're not so tough, get bored and they lack concentration, they get caught and it's all over for them. Others are intense. Of course, being too intense can burn up very valuable energy. Gotta try and relax and stay focused. Once again, the odd eye-catching punch from Jacob, but the majority of the good work coming from Zaragoza now. And some lovely punches there from Zaragoza, backed into the ropes deliberately, I hasten to add, to draw Jacob onto him. And suddenly, the Frenchman gets a second wind. Tremendous round this. And they get better and better. And again, Zaragoza forced to rally, backed into the ropes. Jacob instigating these attacks. What a cracking fight. So having looked all at sea, with half this round gone, Jacob rallied to steal it. A couple of punches there landed after the bell, but Jacob didn't hear it. Tough moments then for the champion. Daniel Zaragoza, no sign of his challenger slowing down. And very foolishly in that French corner, using smelling salts. Banned by everybody in the world, but the French seem to be able to get away with it for some odd reason. This is round 10, the home stretch. That blood from the scalp wound of Zaragoza spread around his head. And once again, Jacob getting through with a nice right hand. He picked up his second wind a minute or so through that ninth. Of course, he'd done 12 rounds before on 3 separate occasions. Zaragoza, though, for his part, well, he's been 12 on many occasions. And for those of you interested, this was the 17th time in his career that Thierry, sorry, my apologies, that Daniel Zaragoza would have to travel the full 12-round distance 17 times. Can you believe that? And now there's a cut on the left eye of the champion. And the challenger looking stronger by the second. And of course, Thierry Jacob doing exactly the right thing here. He's fighting like a challenger. You've got to put in that bit more effort, and that's a lovely left to the body from Thierry Jacob. That went right to the pit of the stomach. And you don't often see Daniel Zaragoza on the floor. But he got up and he recovered well. And as a result, of course, of the knockdown and the fact that Jacob is winning the round as well, it's opened up a 2-point gap that Zaragoza did not need in this round. He was far enough behind as it was coming into the 10th. In fact, 6 points on my card. And he's just about to lose this 10th round by 2 points. The replay here from round 10. And as I say, at this point, with that knockdown, Zaragoza has now fallen 8 points behind on my card. Only 2 rounds to go for him to inflict the knockout he surely needed. Great body shot, that. Bang. That's what you call taking one in the solar plexus. And didn't he take it well? Got up well and recovered. This, the penultimate round, then the 11th. And barring a knockout, Thierry Jacob looks certain to win this WBC Super Bantamweight title. Hard fight, this. And it even looked at this point as if Jacob was out to try and inflict a stoppage on this very game Mexican. In fact, Daniel Zaragoza had only ever been stopped twice in his 5 losses. He'd won 45, though, remember that. And coming into this, Thierry Jacob had been stopped 3 times. In fact, they were the only losses on his record. And it's worth pointing out that 2 of them were for the IBF Championship and 1 was for the European. So stopped in high class. But this is a different man. Fired up. Wonderful start. And keeping hold of his lead. Tired. Very weary. And it's very worth mentioning to you that of course we know that Thierry Jacob goes on to win this one on points. But significantly, he put so much into this fight that his first defense, he was forced actually to go to New York to face Tracy Harris-Patterson, and he got blown out in 2. Thereafter, he fought twice for the WBA title against Wilfredo Vasquez and was stopped on both occasions, never boxed again. And conversely, Zaragoza would fight Tracy Harris-Patterson 6 months after that defense by Jacob, and draw with him the first time, get stepped in 7 the second time, and then win. Cracking round then, not a great deal in it. More blood, of course, on the face of Zaragoza. And still the 8-point gap in favour of the challenger. And just goes to illustrate how much one man could put into one fight to be able never to reproduce it again. This is the 12th and final round then. And if ever Daniel Zaragoza needed to add to that 22 knockout roll on his record, it was now. Thierry Jacob, though, very unlikely to relax his grip on this, of course. It'd been a cracking fight from the halfway stage. And I dare say that after this, Zaragoza's ruining the first 5 rounds, where he did almost nothing to prevent Jacob from running away with the first half of this contest. One of those sustained bouts of rallying from both men. Of course, at this stage, very, very hard to put more than 2 or 3 punches together at one time. Lots of fatigue. But then suddenly the adrenaline just takes another squirt, and you're back in the groove. Lovely left hand from Jacob. And now looking very cheeky. Almost at the end of his tether, but just still throwing out enough punches to keep the Mexican away. And we've seen this kind of behavior come unstuck in the past. And Thierry Jacob looking like a throwback to the 30s and 40s with that rather odd, cheeky style. But still landing. And blood-ridden face of Zaragoza still chasing very determinedly. Quite rightly, Thierry Jacob has got no reason to get involved here. Conversely, of course, the champion needs to pin him down. And Jacob there plants a kiss on the cheek of the ex-champion. And he knows he's won it long before the scores were read out. And in fact, my scorecard read 119 points to 110. I gave 1 round against Thierry Jacob, and that was the 7th, and that was a very, very conclusive win on my card. In fact, I gave the 10th round to Jacob by 2 points, remember? So 10 rounds to 1, and 1 even on my scorecard in favour of the new champion, Thierry Jacob. And the other judges had it 115, 112, 118, 113 and 119, 108, which translates at 7 rounds to 5. Very close. 1 round by 2. 7 rounds to 2 and 3 even. And 11 rounds to 1, 1 by 2 points. See, that's 115, 112. That's 119, 108. Almost the same as myself. And unanimous decision then, 118, 113 in favour of the new champion. But as I say, he'd never be able to reproduce that form again, losing in his first defence in 2 rounds and then in 2 subsequent challenges for the WBA title. Zaragoza, conversely, would draw in his next match with the conqueror of Jacob, then get stopped in 7 in the return before winning in 3 rounds against Alejandro Batista. And that, I'm afraid, is all I know about them up to this date. But we've got bags more action to come for you. We're going to take a look at one of the heavyweight prospects next, and of course Lennox Lewis in our knockout section.